That rustle of the paper means it's time for the show. A coffee and an Adderall, come on, let's go. Sunday Papers Podcast with Greg and Mike.
And clapping in 5, 4,
3, 2, 1. And
read all about it.
That's all.
Read all about it. New Hampshire, baby. That's where the Fitz dogs roaming these days.
Oh my God, you have so much more energy than I last heard you 3 seconds ago.
It's called show business, Mike. Things are not always what they appear.
Is it Showtime?
Showtime. Have you seen that show, by the way?
See what show?
Showtime. It's the about the Lakers.
No, you know what? I think that's what it should have been called, but I think HBO didn't want to call their show Showtime. So it's called, what is it called? Winning Time.
Winning Time. Oh, okay.
I don't think anyone has ever used the phrase winning time.
No. No, that sounds like Charlie Sheen.
Yeah.
Winning.
Chris is putting in, it was canceled. Yeah, I was bummed about that. I was really enjoying it.
The show was canceled?
Well, it wasn't renewed, maybe. That's the, it finished its second season, and it's not coming back.
Well, they definitely closed out the second season with, like, lots of chyrons, the little, text telling you how everything wrapped up. So, yeah, they were saying goodbye.
Chris is saying no promotion, killed it. I thought season 2 was better than 1. All right, we should address some things. 1, my bloody eye seems to have moved into my throat. We both think we might have. I didn't think I had COVID till you said you thought you had COVID.
I don't know that I have COVID. I know my wife does, and I sleep with her.
You do?
And, yep.
Gross.
And so
That's
she
Erin.
got it.
That's your fucking wife, dude.
I know. That's the mother of my children, and she got it.
Oh, you fuck Erin? Jesus.
Fuck Erin.
It's weird. So you've seen her naked?
Well, no. The only worse is I'm having sex with a 57-year-old woman.
Ew.
If you had told me when I was 18 that I'd be banging a 57-year-old, I would have said, just shoot me right now. But you know what? I love it. I love having sex with my 57-year-old woman.
Actually, I think you were a better human being back then, and you would have been like, "Did you just say banging?" Is that what we're doing now? We're describing it as banging.
Is banging? Yeah. I don't know that there's a lot of banging anymore.
That's the old thing that happens when, like, you're going to a high school reunion and you have these images of, the girl in high school, or maybe the girl from the first few reunions when 20s and even 30s. And you go back now and you're like, yo, disgusting. She's my age.
Yeah. I know. I know.
Just don't walk by a mirror. You'll ruin the whole illusion of what's going on in your head.
Yeah. I don't even I hate seeing pictures of myself. I avoid them. But then I'm supposed to post them, which becomes a dilemma.
Every time you see a photo, are you like, God, maroon again?
And maroon again? What's up with this guy?
And look at you wearing maroon now.
I think winning. That's what when I see myself in maroon. I say winning.
You're like, winning time?
Winning time. And they have a great, they always play this great funk song at the beginning of that show. And it's kind of a running joke, but we'll binge watch episodes. And the beginning of every episode, I stand up and I disco dance for the entire length of the theme song. And she just sits there and like, what the fuck are you doing? And I don't, the more lame she thinks she is, the harder I dance, the more crazy moves I throw.
And then you still bang her.
Still bang her.
She lets that happen.
All right, so what's going on? I'm in New Hampshire. I'm in Manchester. I flew in. This is the craziest weekend. I think I described it last week that it was happening. I flew in on Thursday and from L.A. to Boston, got picked up, drove an hour west by a guy who's a billionaire, who's our friend Pete Scott put me in touch with this guy. We went to a party at his house one time, and he's got this mansion in Malibu on the beach. And
wait, I wasn't there, right?
You weren't there. It was the 4th of July party. And then I kind of helped him a little bit. He's trying to do stand-up. I met with him and tried to help him out and stuff. And then he was coming out to Boston. So I said, hey, why don't you come to... He said, oh, no, he wrote me and he goes, I'm coming to your show in Shirley, which is an hour west of Boston. And I said, great. I said, do you want to do 10 minutes? And he goes, sure. And then he ends up picking me up and driving me out there. And we have dinner. And it's just so funny because nobody knows this guy is he's living in Boston for 2 months on his yacht, which has a 5-person crew. And they're just sitting on his boat with him while he lives in Boston for 2 months before it goes off to the Bahamas or wherever. And we're sitting in the green room with these guys. They're like, hey, dude, how much is how much is the cod? Is the fish and chips cod? Is that included? Like if I'm performing, how much do I have to pay?
Yeah.
And the other guy's talking about how he's raising worms on the side. Yeah, dude, I got this bed of worms. I fucking sell them by the pound. I ship them around the country. I go, how do you ship worms? Isn't that illegal? No. You just put some fucking ice in there. You put ice in a box? No, dude. They're fucking worms. I chop them up. Here's where I make my money, is if you chop up a worm, it becomes 3 other fucking worms. You triple your profits. And this billionaire has just flown in on a private jet. And he's
Meanwhile, he just cornered the market on worms. Chop it in 3. Have you ever thought about chopping it in 6, you idiot? Let me take over.
So we did the show. He had a rough set because he's very intelligent and his jokes are very Woody Allen-esque. They're very neurotic and funny. And
wait, what experience? Did I miss that? What experience does he have telling jokes?
Oh, he's friends with Tiffany Haddish, and she brings him on the road sometimes.
The billionaire.
Yeah.
Wow.
She brings him on the road to do like shows with her. And
hey,
she's
why don't you come on the road with me? By the way, bring your private jet.
Yes, right. Brett, let's go on the road. I'll meet you at your jet tomorrow at 10 o'clock.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then, God, but the show was fun. But then I drive back to Boston that night, wake up at 6:30 in the morning, which is 3:30 a.m. LA time that I'm still on, to go do radio on Kiss FM. Mm-hmm. And the guy starts going, so you were on Best Week Ever? He goes, why don't I give you some situations from the news and then you can riff on them? He's like, Travis Kelce and I'm like, what? I go, what? I didn't even finish my first cup of coffee yet. What are you talking about? So I go through that for about 45 minutes, and then we go off to this golf course, and we play 8.
Oh, by the way, wait. I like the concept of, why don't we get Greg riffing on news items? How could that be organic? Oh, you know what? I see here 30 years ago he did Best Week Ever. Why don't we reference that, not his podcast where he only does that?
I know. Do people even know that we do this? So,
I don't know. I'm under the impression we haven't released these shows yet. We're just recording them.
I go to the Country Club in Brookline, which is where they played the U.S. Open last year, and I don't realize when I get there's no carts. I'm now completely out of my mind. I'm so fucking tired, and they're like, no, you got to walk the course, and it's a hilly, long, professional golf course. 18 holes.
I remember when I learned in the Valley, I'm like, I'm going to walk because I always walk with my bag because I want to get something. Even if I play shitty, I at least got some sort of workout. And we were in the Valley and you're like, no, Mike, get in the cart. I'm like, no. And by like 15, I am dragging. And that's when I learned the average walk is 6 miles when you play 18.
This course is probably 8, and but in full disclosure.
Oh, and it's 10 the way I hit it because I'm zigzagging.
You're right, military, left, right, left.
Yeah.
But in full disclosure, I had a caddy. There was a guy carrying my bag.
I thought you were gonna say carrying you.
Yeah, but at the same time, like, I swear to God, like, and I finished, and an hour later, I couldn't walk on my feet. They were so sore, and I kept thinking about Vietnam and like guys being told to go in the bush and fucking, hike for days on end at night with snakes and shit. And I'm like, you fucking pussy.
Oh. Well, that's one of the reasons I ran marathons is I was like, I can always draw strength. And it sounded crazy, but I actually still do that. And it was, 25 years ago. And I'm still like, you know what? Remember when you thought you couldn't go any further and then you went 5 miles further?
Yeah. Right. Right.
So I don't advise marathons for anybody, but yeah.
Or marriage.
All right. All I remember. I thought I couldn't go one more year. Turns out that time I was right. And meanwhile, you might have had COVID sort of gestating inside of you.
Yes, and then we got in a car and we drove through rush hour traffic for 2 hours to get to Manchester, and I got to a gig at a place called Chunky's Cinema House, where it's a movie theater. Doesn't even have real seats. It has like Staples office chairs. Like
sure.
it's weird. It was weird, and the microphone went out halfway through my act, and I'm standing in front of a movie screen. It was awful.
That's old school.
Yeah, and now I'm playing the other Chunkies in Nashua tonight.
2 Chunkies. They're that successful.
Yeah, there's a chain.
Is it like an Alamo Draft House, which I've never been to, but that's one of the ones that popped up when we were looking. Here comes the segue to Stop Making Sense.
Oh, really?
Yeah, Alamo Draft House. Obviously, it started in Austin, I believe, but it's like remember Play It Again Sam's in Boston. It's that.
Yeah,
it's been around forever. It's like
it's a very New England thing. Yeah.
Food, drinks, waitress service, and while you watch a movie.
Worked with some really good comics. I mean, the comics in Boston are all great, and the guy that runs this thing Rob Steen is a great dude, and he's a hustler. He's the worm guy. He's the guy that does the worms, but he's also books like 80 different shows a week in New England. Books 80 shows.
Oh my God! No time to focus on the worms. He's splitting worms.
Right. So what's going on with you?
Well, I went camping earlier this week. It was like it's October, right? So it's the last kind of chance. It was the first week of October, but normally I go. The sweet spot in Southern California in the Sierras is that like third week in September. I went up solo a few years ago. Mosquitoes have gone away. There's literally zero. And I don't know if it's the first frost. I have no idea. But anyway, so I drove up, and I wanted to go in the southern part of the Sierras, and there's this Trail of 100 Giants, which is one of the sequoia groves. So anyway, Monday, I woke up at like 5:30 a.m., hopped in the car, saw sunrise when I was in Bakersfield, and it was just great. It was as good as Southern California driving can get. Like you kind of feel alone out there. And within 3 hours, I'm standing in front of sequoias, which are crazy. So I then had a plan. I'm like, listen, I'm just going to go on this loop. There's a big loop that goes by a town called Ponderosa, Camp Nelson, and I had never explored this part of the Sierras.
And what's the altitude here?
The altitude's reasonable, 5,000, 6,000. Okay. Ponderosa is 7,000. So I'm going to make my way around, and Ponderosa seems to be, if you're looking at the font on the map, the biggest, quote, town, and that means they have a country store. And there's all these campgrounds, and some of them are abandoned, which means you can camp there, but the bathrooms don't work and there's no water, but you can pull your car up and it's free. So I think I'm going to do one of those. Anyway, pull into Ponderosa. Mangled metal. Oh, and on the way from a Trail of 100 Giants, it's like another planet because every tree has been burned.
Wow.
And it's just a forest of sticks.
No shit.
Black sticks for the longest time. And then I remember, holy shit, this was the fire where they started wrapping the sequoias in aluminum foil because it was getting so close to these legendary trees. Some of them are like 1,900 years old. So anyway, I go through all that. I get to Ponderosa, and there's Twisted Metal, and there's no general store. There's nothing except now the homes they saved behind it. So I pull in. Anyway, moving the story along a little, this old woman comes up, D. D's there. She's having someone photograph her house because she's going to start. So she's pushing renting her room on me pretty hard. But D and I start talking, and I'm like, she's like, well, what's your plan? I'm like, thank you very much, but I think I'm going to camp. I have stuff. I'm just going to do this loop, go up. She's like, oh, honey. She's like, the road fell off the mountain, right? And I'm like, what?
No.
I'm like, what? She's like, oh, yeah, no, it was big news. So she goes, the fires killed all the trees. Then all of a sudden there was the fires killed all the trees. Then it rained like crazy, and nothing was holding the dirt. So the rain caused mudslides. So at this point, she's like, oh, yeah, I'll be right over there. She's like, that's the husband. All of a sudden, this woodland creature walks up. I mean, if you planted him in Alabama or Kentucky, everyone there would be like, that is a fucking hick. I don't even know the last time anything touched his beard, including hands or shampoo. He was a furry animal, just a furry animal. His name was Tim. It was D and Tim. And so Tim then starts talking. He interrupts her, just talks right over and goes, yeah, once the soil leaves with the mudslide, then nothing's holding the rocks. And it was a huge landslide. And this is like almost a year ago. The road slid off the mountain.
Whoa.
A road that had been there so long. So I'm like, what? So they start talking. Anyway, I then went out and saw where the road's. It's crazy. But anyway, Dee then continues. She's like, yeah, it's been pretty tough spell here because, then our winter. And of course, it was a huge winter, which most of the country knows, like the record-breaking snow in the Sierras. And she goes, yeah, we had 42 feet. I'm like, wait, what? She's like, we had 42 feet of snow. And then the people that didn't evacuate, it was not a forced evacuation. So 20, I think like 80 people live in Ponderosa. She's like, 20 people stayed. And we got then snowed in when that last storm hit, and we were isolated. They had to airdrop food. And to get the airdrop food, she goes, we had to crawl out of our attic window because that's where the snow was. And then the water pipes froze. She's like, we had no water. So she goes, the 20 of us had to melt snow to get our water. And then she goes, and get this. She's like, that weekend that we got snowed in, my two grandsons were visiting. They were then trapped with me for weeks.
No.
And she goes, and she's like, they were driving me crazy. I would just push them out the attic window, like, go spend your energy and bring back snow for your air-dropped powdered mac and cheese.
Oh, my God.
This is 3 hours outside of Santa Monica. It's crazy.
Jesus Christ.
And so anyway, she's finishing the story, and she's talking about pushing her grandsons out the attic window to just let them, like, run wild. And then she goes, yeah, I got to tell you, it got a little suicidal. And I'm just watching her, and she's, like, nodding her head. And then I knew she had something more. And she goes, and she puts her hand up like a secret, and homicidal, to be honest. I'm like, got it, D.
Who was the target?
Totally understand what you're saying.
Was the target Tim, or was it the
I think it might have been
kids?
all of them, but it sounded like those two little wild animals. Were driving me crazy.
Oh, my God.
Yeah.
That's nuts. And so now she's got this house she can't sell because there's a road that doesn't exist.
Right. There's no general store. I mean, Ponderosa has to change its font to be one of the smaller towns now on that loop. Yeah.
Wow. So what'd you do? Where'd you hike?
So I went up a little further where the road blows out, and there's another campsite, and the guy there was awesome. And it's so cool like that. It's very shining, like, because he's like, yeah, I'm glad I'm here. Like, when you arrived, he's like, they're reducing my hours now because it's seasonal because, hardly any reservations now. I mean, there were like 2 other campers there, but they have yurts, which have nothing except a light. There's no heat. There's nothing like that, but it's insulated. And I go, because I was trying to gauge, I'm like, I think I might need a yurt. Like, I'm going to freeze in the tent. And I go, well, has it gotten down to the, has it gotten down to the high 20s yet? And he's like, no. And that was very comforting, right? And then he goes, 31. I'm like, okay, I'm glad you followed up with that. That would have been misleading. So anyway, then I'm like, all right, I got to go find lunch somewhere. End of story is I worked my way down the mountain a little to the next town, which is, I think, Johnsondale or something. And that's near the Kern River. And then that wasn't open, so I kept going south, and it got 20 degrees warmer. And then I was down to where you've been, I think, before, which is towards Kernville, much further south than Ponderosa. And I'm like, I am not driving back up that mountain. So I just grabbed a campsite along the Kern, right above Kernville, and it was great.
Nice.
It was perfect. Went swimming. It was fantastic.
You went swimming in the Kern River?
Yeah, it wasn't that cold yet.
No shit.
Yeah, because it's still warm there during the days. Like, but they're like, it's over. But Dee told me they were all convinced, and Tim was like, I was wrong about that one. Tim and Dee were convinced they were getting snow that it was going to be their first snow that morning.
Wow.
So,
damn.
Chris is asking, what's the bear and mountain lion situation up there? They haven't seen bears in a while because I asked the guy. And then in Kern, he's like, you can just leave your food in your car. He's like, we have no record because normally you can't leave. And you can't even leave sunblock in your car when you go backcountry camping.
Yeah.
Toothpaste, deodorant. It's such a fucking pain in the ass. They'll tear open your car door because it smells like sugar. So he goes, no, you can just put even your food in your car. There's no record of them. But up by D, that fire swept out or killed all, I think it probably just evacuated in a way, all the wildlife. He's like, we haven't had a bear sighting all summer.
Oh, my God. That's so crazy.
Yeah, and normally the bears are like in their garbage at night.
Damn. So what, did you just go away for one night or 2 nights?
I was going to do 2, but then the one was pretty full, and then stuff started building up a little, like things to do here. That's another reason I went. Strike is over, and already Zooms are lined up, and you could tell it's getting busier. So I think the hiatus is over.
Nice.
Yeah, baby.
I got to get one of them writing jobs. We'll talk about that later when we get to entertainment. We'll talk about some shows coming back and some backlash from people that were going to come back early.
Yep. We can talk about Stop Making Sense there. The general headline is, see it. Whatever you do.
Run, dance to the theater. It is one of the most, my first word is inspirational. Because
that's what you said, right? And all of us got outside and we're like, we're seeing it again. And sure enough, I'm going tonight, Sunday night, with Olivia. I'm dragging.
Nice.
I'm not even dragging. Olivia's already heard from too many kids in her school how cool it is.
Oh, I got to see if JoJo will go with you guys. Will you text
my
JoJo?
God. No, I would 100%. I'd bring Owen too.
Yeah, I want Owen and JoJo to see it. It makes you feel like anything is possible. We talked about. Did we talk about it already?
No, someone wrote me and asked. Apparently, you talked about it in your other podcast.
Okay, yeah, but it's inspirational, and it is like, obviously those Talking Heads are pretty hard to deny. They are the top 10 American bands of all time. Is that safe to say?
Well, I think they're cementing their reputation now because people are seeing it. Anyway, this is what I want to say to people who might be on the fence. You can't think about this as Talking Heads, and you can't think about it as a concert film. This, and so many reviews say this, is a musical. He is in character, and sometimes different characters, each song, and Jonathan Demme directs. The cinematographer is the cinematographer from Blade Runner. You are not seeing a concert film. It is. It's closer to Hamilton than it is to any other concert film that you've seen.
And it's a music video. I mean, the fucking aerobic output from him and the rest of the band is off the charts. It's insane. I still haven't done a deep dive about how they filmed it, but you said they did like 3 or 4 takes, basically.
Yeah, I've read that it's 3 or 4. I've read both, but at the Pantages Theater, December 1984 or 3, I think it's 4, and they talked about ways to do it differently. Like, we're not going to show every concert film shows the audience a lot, like The Last Waltz. They'll have interviews. None of that. This is none of it. There's a show. It's also not going to be lit like a concert. It's going to be lit for film. It's going to be lit for the end product, which is film. We're not a fly on the wall here. We are, the cameras are very subtle, but actually not that subtle. Sometimes they're on stage, but it's really making a work of art. And what you really see is, like, let's say you didn't know a single thing about the Talking Heads. You never even heard of them. If you went and saw this, you're like, holy shit, did you see that movie where these art students put on a concert?
Yeah.
That's what you'd say.
Right.
And that there's a story, and it's about isolation, and his character grows throughout it. Anyway, just go see it. Please
Go see it. Also, I did a couple cool interviews this week. I had Lewis Black on Monday.
Oh, my God.
Dude, there's just no one more genuine. He's just a true... he's also an artist. He has put everything into being... I didn't realize he got a master's in drama from Yale. And
wow.
you know, he's always written plays and directed, but it's also his stand-up. He's just been so prolific, and he's such a good friend. I've known him for forever, and we had just a most amazing talk, and it'll be out, I think, this week. And then Sam Jade, you know the comic Sam Jade?
Yeah.
Had her on, and we'd never spent much time together, and she kind of blew me away. I feel like we need to be close friends, me and Sam J. She's just
nice.
a very cool, interesting person, and I watched her recent special, and it's great.
Oh yeah, where's the special?
I don't know if they sent me a link or if I saw it on. It might be on YouTube at this point. I'll have to find out, but
okay.
But it's Netflix. It's on Netflix.
Oh, good.
Okay. Yeah.
You know, I just watched. I watched Kathleen Madigan's.
Oh yeah,
dude, she is so fucking funny.
She's so funny. She's just pure club funny. You know, she's a club comic who plays theaters.
I think it was on. I think it's Netflix. Anyway, yeah, it was. She was really made me laugh. Oh my God, it was delayed. It was an older one before the documentary, and she talks about the Malaysian missing flight and what a shit show. She's like, it's missing, and she's like, and they're still open. Like, they're still doing business. Like, they have no explanation. She's like, silly me, when I've been in a plane. You know, I'd be in a plane. I had this weird thought that, like, people knew where I was. Like, official people had an eye on the plane I was in. Turns out that might not be true.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
Oh, Chris is now writing. There's a correction. Sam J is on HBO Max.
All right.
So, and Kathleen Madigan, by the way, he was happy to point out, I believe, is from St. Louis.
Yes. She talks about how terrible that part of the world is. Yes,
she does.
Yes.
Oh, there you go, Denman.
Yeah. She talks about Missouri in really funny ways.
Home of the...
like they couldn't decide in the Civil War. We don't know.
Oh, yeah, Jesse James ran around marauding on the side of the Confederates, but they often came up against bands of Unionists, and they would just have battles and burn towns down. It was crazy. For years. For years, Missouri did not have a side in the war. They just had gangs. And they would come burn your fucking town down one day because you were a Confederate town. It was nuts.
They just like to fight.
Yeah. All right, let's get moving here. We have some news. This guy, Ben, was very nice and said, Mike should try the herb. This is regarding your eye bleeding.
I know.
Mike should try the herb
I wish I
arnica.
You know, you could send that to me before now. If that came in on Tuesday, I would have liked that.
I wish I checked the emails more often, but I often don't get to them until a couple days before the show.
It was on the side of my eye, like near on the outside of my eye, and then it migrated, and it just loves going towards the pupil, which is where I don't want it to go, and then it pools, and it forms a red ring. I have a blue eye with a red ring around it, and I look like a robot. And
Sweet!
It's still there. I did do warm compress, but then I read so many things that say there's nothing you can do. But I'll try arnica even now because it's a slight red ring around the eye now.
Now, will this still get
Thank
you
you,
into
Ben.
your building through the iris scanning technology?
I know. I think I can get in anywhere with this thing. They're like, oh, that's AI.
So this guy says use the herb arnica. You can get it in pill form. It helps with bruising, and I bet it will help his eye. Are you drinking a lot of water?
I wish
Source,
you had gotten
my
that
wife.
to me also. Yeah, all right.
Source, my wife is a naturopathic doctor. Is that an oxymoron?
It is not. What are
No.
you're shitting on Ben's wife now?
No, I'm kidding. Do you know that Rockefeller, when they started making pharmaceuticals in this country, most of it, they use a lot of petroleum in order to make them. And I guess so much so that he wanted to get people off of this type of medications.
No, he changed the course of medicine in America.
Yes, because he wanted everything to be oil-based. So stuff like this, which is probably a much better solution, It was literally, he funded all of the medical schools, and he said, you must only teach these drugs and not those any longer.
This is, you see, you got to send me these emails. All I've been doing is putting unleaded in my eye. And not arnica. 89 unleaded right in my eye. Right.
Shout out to Bruce Wise for doing this week's logo. Looks like a million typing monkeys doing Sunday papers. Very funny.
Love that.
The song from Emmett Hall is so fucking
an infinite
good.
Number of monkeys. Sorry.
Is that what it is? Infinite?
Yes, you're not going to get Hamlet from a million monkeys. You're not even going to get close.
Yeah.
You're not even going to get a Taylor Swift song with only a million monkeys. 1,000,004, you got most of Taylor Swift's catalog. But infinite is needed for Shakespeare's works.
Emmett Hall wrote an amazing theme song this week. Thank you so much. Don't forget, you can always listen to them at the end of the show. You can hear the whole song. Although I think we just played the whole song because he kept it tight. It's like a nice little 20-seconder.
Yeah.
Corrections. A guy named Steven, I can't tell if it's Feinstein or Feinstein, says, as a California Feinstein whose father is from New York, he used to say that in New York he was Feinstein. And then when we moved to California in the 60s, people started saying Feinstein, and he went with it. Diane, as a Californian, was Feinstein. Her second husband, well, whatever. It was her husband's name. But since people pronounce it both ways in the U.S., I don't expect to know how. Anyway, Ryan, another correction on pronunciation is from Ryan in Chicago. Your pronunciation of Pedro Almodovar's surname, Almodovar, as well as the name of his film Volver, is on par with a Midwestern dad trying to order at a Mexican restaurant. Ay, Dios mío! As a Midwestern dad who took a few Spanish classes in high school, let me help you out. It's Almodovar and Bolbert. The V's should sound like B's. Kind of amazing how you've lived in SoCal for so many years and haven't picked up any sense of the Spanish. Isn't JoJo fluent? Maybe you guys can pick up Duolingo as a sponsor. Hey, that's not bad. That's a good idea.
I want to learn another. Yeah, that's everyone's goal, right? I'm going to learn Italian. Well, the pandemic came. You didn't do it.
I want to relearn French because I don't think I could take on a brand new language, but I knew some French from 4 to 5 years of studying it in school. And we should reach out to Duolingo and see if they'll sponsor us.
Yeah, and then we have to try to learn. I'll try to relearn Spanish. It's criminal that I don't know Spanish.
I know it's pretty ridiculous. Maybe I should just do Spanish. Here's where I'm going to need some Spanish. I'm kind of Sacramento, California to the Punchline on October 12th through the 14th. That's this week. Arlington, Virginia at the Draft House, October 20th and 21st. Magoobies in Baltimore, October 22nd. Houston, Bakersfield, Austin. I'm doing a taping at the Mothership, Joe's Club, November 17 through 19. San Francisco Punchline, Fort Worth, Atlanta. All tickets at fitzdog.com. Come on out and see some live comedy.
Yeah.
Mike, you ever get frustrated buying tickets for movies or concerts or theater?
You know what? Actually, not anymore. Because I got Game Time.
Not movies, by the way. I didn't say movies. I said movies.
What are you waiting for movie prices to drop on Game Time?
Yeah, right.
You're going to be waiting a long time. They should do that, by the way.
I know. We pitched that. We're going to have a lot to talk about at our meeting. When's our meeting for Sunday Papers this week?
I think it's Wednesday.
Oh, okay. Let's check on that.
Yeah. But you know what? They have theater. So get this. I'm thinking, this is absolutely gospel truth, of seeing Hadestown. Did you ever see Hadestown?
Is it Hadestown or Hadestown?
I mean, I thought it was Hades, but it's spelled Hadestown, but it's about mythology.
Okay. Hades, right?
Good Lord. Can we move forward? Yes. So you never saw this play that you think you know how to pronounce?
No.
It won every award, and it's supposed to be amazing, and too many New Yorkers have told me I need to see it, so it's out here. Anyway, it's on Game Time. So they don't do movies, but they do plays. There it is, and I'm going to be watching it. It's down to $132 right now. Anyway, you shouldn't have to worry when you're buying tickets to your next big event. Game Time is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all the sports, music, comedy, and there it is, theater events near you. with killer last-minute deals. Yeah, by the way, I love when they pop up when you're on here. The last-minute deals, they're like, they'll let you know, like, grab this, like, swipe here. This is the best one. But get this, dude. The Dodgers are in the playoffs. Of course, I'm not following baseball right now. And here, Dodgers tonight, $76, and that's going to drop.
No way! Oh my God! Yeah, the key is to be patient and keep an eye on Game Time because they have a guarantee. If you get tickets in the same section and row on the same night, you get 110%. Whatever.
Yeah, USC football tonight, $47.
Wow.
I know, it's very cool.
So get involved. You can download the tickets really easy. Couple taps, it's in your phone. No downloading to another place or transferring or printing. You just show up, boom, you got it.
Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time, man. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code PAPERS for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem the code PAPERS for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price with the guarantee.
Well, I don't want to whine about high prices, but I do want to talk about low prices on wine, and that's bringing us to our next ad read, Mike, which is about First Leaf. Did you do it?
I did it. I did do it, which I've talked about before, and they made it easy. Personalized wine delivered, and the best is it's on my schedule because someone has to be there when you have alcohol delivered, and it's just so cool. It's like you can pick the time they're going to do it right to your door. You choose the day your shipment comes. You're never stressing about missing a delivery, and the selection is backed by First Leaf's 100% satisfaction guarantee. So I went on, filled out my profile. I answer a couple of questions about what wines you like, and then they put together this list of 6 wines that they sent to me. I just had to describe what wines I liked. You can even say which wines you don't like. Another great thing is that I get to avoid the overwhelmed feeling I used to get like in aisles where I'm trying to shop and you're turned on to new wines. So give your palate what it really wants with First Leaf. Go to tryfirstleaf.com/papers to sign up and you'll get your first 6 hand-curated bottles. Get this for $44.95.
No, Mike, I think you mean $444.95.
No, Greg.
Right?
No, Greg. You'd think it would be that. It's $44.95. So that's tryfirstleaf.com/papers. PAPERS. Tryfirstleaf.com/papers. It just takes all the guesswork out, and you're going to be turned on to new wines, which is really the main reason I did it. And it's so easy and cheap.
I like having those extra bottles of wine around, too, because you're always going to a dinner party at the last minute. You forget to bring something. You grab a nice bottle of wine. This way, you know it's good. You know they're going to appreciate it.
Yep, take a picture of it, because when they tell you, oh, my God, the wine you brought was so good, you got to remember which one it was.
Right. All right, let's get to the front page. You got any paper?
I don't. I mean.
Oh, hold on.
Yeah, I do. I have wrapper.
Okay,
I have wrapper.
Extra! Extra! Read all about it! Extra!
Clear wrapper.
Nice.
Look at that.
Okay.
All right. I call this one Unfair B&B. And I grabbed this story because you had an eerily similar case. Okay. The case started in September 2021 when Jovanovich, this dentist in L.A., approved a long-term stay for Elizabeth Hirshhorn. Hirshhorn rented the guest house for 6 months at $105 a night, spending $20,700 total. 5 months in, however, Jovanovich offered to put Hirshhorn up in a hotel while a contractor made some repairs. Hirshhorn declined, and she also declined an offer to stay at his home. A tense exchange ensued until Hirshhorn's originally scheduled Airbnb stay ended on March 19th, 2022. I'm going into the details because this gets crazy. Even so, the pair agreed to extend her stay another month while she looked for another property. Extending the lease beyond March 19th meant that Airbnb would not be involved. Airbnb did not immediately respond for comment. So, on April 12th, she stopped paying rent. The Times reported that about this time, Hirshhorn contacted the Department of Building and Safety, which identified 2 code violations and a lack of approval for occupancy and an unpermitted shower. She also submitted a complaint to a city official.
Wait, so basically she's staying in an Airbnb. She overstays the lease and then reports the property to the city saying it's in violation of code?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And then she's alleging illegal eviction, harassment, and non-payment of relocation fees. So the official agreed that because the unit violated city codes, she had to withdraw, the landlord, Jovanovich, had to withdraw his eviction notices until he could prove that the unit was in compliance. But here's the catch. She won't let him in the unit, his own unit.
So he can't bring it to code because she won't let her in. And at the same time, okay, he can't evict her.
Because she's been on the property for more than 6 months. She also qualifies of a law you are very familiar with now, and it's the new Just Cause Ordinance, which requires a landlord to give a legal reason for eviction. And if none exists, the landlord must pay for relocation assistance.
Yeah.
Talk about it. Are you allowed to talk about it?
Well, anything that's under LA's rent stabilization ordinance, which is basically any home that was built before 1950 or something.
Yeah.
And then you are so hamstrung. It is the worst city to have, because we rented out our house. I don't think I've ever talked about this on the air because I was so angry about it. I don't think I could control myself.
You were livid. So was Erin.
We had a friend. It was a friend of a friend that became a friend. Move in to our house with the understanding that we were going to move out for a couple of years. We said we were going to move out for like 3 or 4 years, which we did. We moved out for like 3 or 4 years. Long story why, but we did. And then we wanted to move back in, and we let her know that we were going to move back in. We gave her like 6 months notice.
Yep.
And then she said, "Great, but you're going to have to pay the relocation fee of $18,000." And we were like, "Wait a minute, we're friends. Like, we were just at the house at a party last week." Like, and she fucking lawyered up. She got nasty. She treated us like shit. She treated us like we were the enemy. It was fucking ugly. And we had to pay every dime. And then at the end, she realized that like there was a $50 something that we owed her. And she goes, "And you owe me $50 for this." Like, it was just a fucking stab in the eye after all of it.
Not only that, she made you sign that you wouldn't ding her on any damages.
Right. So her security deposit, we had to pay it in full without assessing any debt, which there were damages when she moved out. She would have been assessed some money, but we couldn't do it.
So this woman in this case, she's been living in his property rent-free for more than 541 days. This guy's Airbnb.
I mean, at a certain point, don't you want to just hire a hit person? Just somebody, you know where she parks the car. Maybe she has an accident on the way back to the house, you know?
I've talked about it before. This generation, because those guys are still around and they're still for hire, like intimidating guys. But I told you, I'll make it very short. I was in a place in New York, and it was the owner of the building put me in there, and I gave him cash because he was selling the building. So now the new owner comes, and then the old owner, the agreement was when I sell the building, you're going to have to leave. I'm like, yeah, fine. And it already happened with another place, so he knows I'm good for it. I moved, and he put me in another building he owned. Fine. I'm in there, and then he calls me and he goes, "Hey, I sold the building, but you know what? This guy's a fucking dick." He's like, "Stay in the unit." He goes, "You have all the rights. You have canceled rent checks to me. You just stay there." I'm like, "You got it." Knock on the door comes a little guy with a clipboard, and he's like, "What?" He's like, "You shouldn't be here." I'm like, "Yeah, I have a lot of canceled rent checks." And he tried to beat me up in court, and he lost badly, right? Fine. And I know I've told this before, but...
This is the place on Sullivan Street?
Yes. Chris, I tell my boss at HBO that. Chris is the coolest dude from New Zealand. Anyway, he's like, "Yeah, I had a similar story. I'm in a place with my girlfriend. We're cooking dinner. Knock on the door. It's not a little guy with a clipboard. It's a guy where when I open the door, even though he's the most peaceful thing, I instinctively backed up, and my girlfriend hid behind my back and just peeked over my shoulder. And he's like, "Hey, you're Chris. You're Deirdre?" And they were like, "Yes." And he's like, "So, he has a little piece of paper in his hand, like that it was folded up in his pocket. He's like, so you shouldn't be here. And Chris is like, that's right. And the guy goes, oh, he's like, thank you. He's like, sometimes this is, a little more challenging than that. He's like, you know what though? You're so agreeable. You tell me, how much time do you need to vacate the premises? And Chris, like, his girlfriend is there, and he's like, a week? And he's like, oh, all right, that's fantastic. He's like, so when I come back next Friday, this will be room swept. You'll leave the keys on the stove, and you'll be gone, and then we're all great, right? And he's like, and Chris is like, absolutely. And he's like, oh, fantastic. You know what? Your dinner smells delicious. Sorry I interrupted your night. You guys have a great week. And then he left, and that was it. And if that guy had showed up at my door, I would have done the exact same thing.
Right.
I wouldn't have even had a quizzical look on my face. I would have been like, yep, right, no, of course,
Right.
yes.
Right. Yeah. And it's all if you stay over a certain period of time. And I think it might even be 30 days, which is like one. I don't forget the law in LA, but like once somebody stays, maybe it's 6 months. Maybe that's why this woman got to stay, because she was there for longer than 6 months. And then you have occupancy rights up the ass in LA.
Yeah. And if you think police are going to they have way bigger fish to fry. Imagine calling the police like, well, why does he want you out? Well, I actually don't have a lease. But they're like, okay, yeah, this is really high on our list. We'll be right over when he's promised to come back later tonight.
Right. Let's get to this whore.
Okay, this is called a great whore. This news story was out this week, and the headline was, "Is this Alexander the Great's escort? A tomb of a courtesan who may have seduced the Macedonian king is discovered after 2,300 years. The tomb contains the cremated remains of a woman and a rare box mirror. Experts say she was a high-class escort from ancient Greece who offered elite clients not only sex but companionship and intellectual stimulation, and she may have plied her trade accompanying the armies of Alexander the Great or those who warred for his vast empire after the conqueror's demise." So I guess it was this mirror. They could just tell she was a whore because I guess that was a really high-end gift, and it was incredibly preserved. But they're making a lot of assumptions here.
Well, yeah, one of the biggest assumptions, because I read a book about Alexander, and I should say I listened to a book about Alexander, and a lot of it talked about that he was gay, and that he was tutored by Aristotle. And in ancient Greece, that was a big thing with the tutors. The tutors like to toot, and they.
You mean teachers have been sleeping with students forever?
Yes, and he apparently had some boyhood friends that he had sex with, and then which was kind of allowed. Like teacher-student sex was allowed, and then boy-to-boy sex was allowed, but then man-to-man was kind of frowned upon. But they say that actually when he was older, he was gay. That Alexander the Great was Alexander the Great!
Yeah. Aristotle teach him there's thesis, there's antithesis, antithesis, and then there's, bend over, pull that thing up.
But also, who wants a hooker that's going to give you intellectual stimulation? Isn't that kind of the opposite of what you want from a prostitute? Also,
what happened to Hager's lessons? Did Alexander the Great forget about the Vikings? Like,
right?
Aren't there tons of beautiful women you're about to conquer?
Yeah, you're paying them.
And now this one, and she's not always going to be supportive. You know that.
A mirrored box is only going to buy you so much.
How many days did it take you to conquer Istanbul? I mean, it was pretty much a layup. Here come the corrections. I have no idea if Istanbul was even around then.
No, he was based out of Alexander was like it wasn't called Greece at the time, but he basically conquered all of Greece,
Persia?
Western Europe, Egypt, Yeah,
Yeah.
Egypt, India. I think he like occupied India. It was fucking crazy how much he conquered. He's one of the greatest, the greatest warriors of all time.
This is going to be the new thing that goes on TikTok of women asking, like, how often do you think about ancient Greek whores?
Yeah.
Like twice a week?
Yeah, that's why I like to go to museums. I just like the pictures of the old whores.
My husband thinks about ancient Greek whores. Ask your husband. It's crazy. What are they doing?
Speaking of whores, a Louisiana high school student with a 4.2 grade point average had a scholarship endorsement withdrawn after a video of her twerking at a homecoming after party was posted on social media. Kaylee Timonet, 17, that's such a Louisiana name. Kaylee Timonet, 17, a senior at Walker High School, was removed from student government as president in the aftermath of the video, which was filmed at the private event at a country club. The video, which has since been deleted, showed her dancing behind a friend. The friend was twerking at the after-hours bash where Timonet's mother was in attendance. Timonet was called into the front office on Tuesday and reduced to tears as Principal Jason St. Pierre made her watch the video. They basically told me I should be ashamed of myself, and they were concerned about my afterlife if I wasn't following basically God's ideals, which made me cry even more. All I was doing was having innocent fun. I was mortified. Jesus. Is this a public school or a private school?
It's a Catholic school. Walker High School. No, I guess it's not.
I mean, in Louisiana, can you look that up, Chris, and see if that's public or private? But
no, I mean, it's Walker High School. It's in Walker, Louisiana. That's public.
It's got to be public. Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, first of all, I would have gotten in way more trouble if it was videos of me at a school dance in 8th grade. I remember none of us danced. My school was like a lot of black kids, a lot of white kids. Black song came on. Fucking, some Earth, Wind, and Fire. Black kids were out dancing. Stairway to Heaven came on. Black kids got off the floor. White kids got on there. And we would dance. And I would ask Vicky Bettman to slow dance with me. And then you basically put your arms around each other.
Yeah.
And you would just literally like put your head on each other's shoulders and just... It was just short of dry humping on the floor until the part was, and as we run on down the road, and then it just ended. As soon as like the drums kick in and the song takes off, and then every kid it's like cockroaches when the lights come on. We all just like dart off to the sides of the room and stop dancing.
Walk away with your erection?
With your erection and your sweaty chest and you're trembling because it's the closest you've ever been to a girl in your life. That would have gotten me thrown out of school.
She wasn't even the one twerking, if you read this carefully. It's so crazy. And it's a public high school. It
is a public high school, yeah.
What are you doing? It was in a private club, too. Stay out of the person's business.
Also, if you're Catholic, and I've been talking about this in my act, is that Jesus was woke, okay? Jesus loved prostitutes. Remember, was it Mary Magdalene? Was that the prostitute that he befriended? And he was kind to the prostitutes. And we're not saying that this poor girl with a 4.2 grade point average is a prostitute, but they're trying to call her one. And because of it, they're, taking away her scholarship. What would Jesus do? Why don't they ever live by that? What would Jesus do?
Also, it's a weird story. It's a scholarship endorsement. I don't know. This high school's taking themselves way too seriously.
Yeah.
And imagine if you ruin this girl and all of a sudden she doesn't go to college and she's so riddled with shame. And then all she does is twerk. That's all she does then.
Twerking and podcasting. What if it gets brought down to that?
She won't go that low. She's not going to go as low as a podcast.
Chris said that 35% Protestant in Walker, Louisiana, so blame the Baptists. Okay.
All right.
Let's get to some entertainment.
You got, oh, yeah. All right, what is this Spotify thing?
Spotify on Monday announced a new AI-based feature that can translate podcasts into different languages using the host's own voice. The company said the feature relies on OpenAI's voice generation technology. The technology can create realistic synthetic voices from just a few seconds of speech. Spotify said it will help make the podcast listening experience more authentic and natural by maintaining podcasters' distinctive speech characteristics. So just think, Chinese people soon will also be annoyed by Dennis Gibbons. What'd he say? Why he angry all time?
Also, I wonder how it'll pronounce Feinstein. And maybe we no longer have to worry about Almodovar.
Right.
Just take it over, please.
Will the technology be so good that it will convey the full smug douchiness of Smartless? Like, will they capture it? Will they capture the name drops? Will it translate the name drops into Chinese names?
Oh, yeah. Can it just fact check us on the fly?
Oh, that would be nice.
How about that? We get rid of a whole section of your corrections for you.
Will it convert, like, say, Bill Simmons' podcast, which might be top 5 in the world? Will it convert, like, college basketball to cricket and badminton or whatever the fuck? What do they play in China? What sports do they play in China?
What do you mean? I mean, soccer, gymnastics, basketball.
No, they make the basketballs, but do they play? Do they play with them?
Japanese very much play baseball. Do Chinese play? Are they known for baseball? It's probably a very ignorant question.
I don't know.
Not good, but they play. Says, well, it's a judgment call.
Wow, that sounds racist. As opposed to everything I just said.
They don't play football, but NFL's in London, and NFL's international this week.
They are every week.
What?
The NFL, they do one game in London every week.
You see, I don't even know that. Has it really gone to that many?
Yeah, I think it's every Saturday.
Huh. I don't know about that.
Yeah, that's what it is.
Okay. Well, I'm sure we're going to get fact-checked. I'm sure someone's tearing their hair out right now listening to us guess about whether the NFL's in London every week.
No, it's not a guess. They're in London every week.
Okay.
It's been going on for like the last 2 or 3 years.
Huh. Okay.
Denman, you want to get on that?
I thought it was a handful a season.
They're trying to get it to catch on, and I don't know that it is.
Oh,
I'd be
no.
curious
It
to
has
know
caught
how much.
on.
Oh, it has caught on?
Oh, no. All the Brits I worked with at Corden, it sells out. We sent over cameras. We did a remote piece there. They are very into it.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Is this an old story about Bernie Taupin? Have we already dealt with that?
No, it's just a one-line throwaway. I read that in some interview he said that everything came very quickly, and that's Bernie Taupin describing his new memoir that he wrote, that he wrote it very quickly.
Oh,
and
really?
I have no doubt that he did. I have no doubt that he didn't pause or question a single thing that was coming out of him.
Right.
And
one of the greatest movies and most underrated movies of all time was that Dustin Hoffman, Warren Beatty movie about where they're songwriters and they're caught in the Middle East and they're what the fuck was it called? Ishtar? Ishtar. So fucking funny.
I've never seen it.
And I always pictured that's how Bernie Taupin writes songs. Just you watch them write songs together.
You know what? I'm going to watch
hilarious.
Ishtar this week. It was the joke for anyone who's younger than we are. It was the go-to joke about a disaster movie.
I think it was because the budget was extremely high for that time. And
Chris is saying it's 40% on Rotten Tomatoes. 40%. Okay, so when I say handful, what does that mean to you? Like the phrase handful?
5.
There were 5 NFL games this year in London.
Yeah, in 5 weeks.
What does that mean? Actually, no. I think 1 week
total
might have
for the
even
whole year.
doubled up.
Oh, really? Oh, I thought it was every Saturday. Okay.
No.
All right. Well, that saves us a lot of mail.
And they're all on Sundays. I mean,
yeah, but the time difference.
Greg.
No, with the time difference, it's Saturday there.
Even though they're ahead. This is remarkable. It's remarkable how you dig in. You just keep digging.
Speaking of digging, last night, Bill Maher. Oh, my God. So if you don't remember, Bill Maher got shit on by Hassan Minhaj when Hassan basically said that Bill was anti-Muslim, which a lot of people have said, Andy Kindler included. So when this Hassan Minhaj story came up, I had a feeling that he would be in Bill's. I think the reason why Bill Maher wanted to break the strike was because this Hassan Minhaj story had broken and he wanted to attack him for it. So he did. He certainly did. He said that he accused him of wanting to have racism to fight, and he says, what if he said Hassan is like, what if Jussie Smollett did stand up?
Yeah.
The stories Mr. Minhaj tells in his act to elicit sympathy for himself as a Muslim and a person of color are completely made up, leading him to believe that perhaps Muslim Americans have made more progress than some liberals might want you to believe. He said a couple of his stories are exaggerated on stage. It was more than a couple. Saying, if you want to speak truth to power, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say you have to include the truth part. And then he compared him to Donald Trump. He said, how is this different than when Trump said that he saw hundreds of people cheering in Jersey City on 9/11? So he went on, but yeah, he fucking slammed him. He goes, dude, America is by far from the worst place for you to be living. You're a Muslim married to a Hindu. If you were living in India, she'd have to murder you. Wow, that's going hard. Jesus.
Yeah. All right. I do want to see this. I mean, it's an interesting, the New York Times spilled some ink on this, on all comedians lie to a certain extent. Lie is a weird word, but they embellish, they add stuff.
I never do. I would never do that, ever.
They also, oh no, come on. They also come up with absurd premises that clearly have not happened to them. You do that.
No, I was kidding because I just made up all that stuff about the NFL in London.
Oh, right. No, you played a little loose. You played a little loose.
But here's what it is. Once you put yourself out as a voice of the blank,
yes.
now you're going to take fire because you're not just trying to make people laugh. You're trying to take a moral high ground on certain things, which isn't to say people shouldn't do political comedy or social commentary. But when you do, you better have your fucking kitchen in order because people are going to come after you for it.
I know. And now, it's happening everywhere. Now they're saying Bert Kreischer's not a fat alcoholic.
No, who's saying that?
Yes, they're saying, no, Bert's
Tom
not.
Segura's not saying
Bert
that.
is definitely not saying that, but there's rumors. There is rumors.
Wow.
By the way, Bert's a friend, and I don't think he's an alcoholic. I should have said a fat boozer. That's what I should have said.
Well, I think he's sober for October, right?
He does do that, and that sounds all gimmicky, but doctors have chimed in on that, and they're like, it's especially if you do drink a bunch, that's a great thing to do because the liver doesn't need that much time to almost completely heal itself.
No kidding.
Yeah, I read something about that. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I do know that there are very positive effects when you give it some breathing room.
It's what's been good for my marriage, going away every other weekend for 30 years.
And I wonder, the original, Sober October was Lent, and people would give things up for Lent. I wonder if that was built in, if you're even European throughout the centuries and, you gave up drinking for Lent or you gave up whatever vice, you were able to restore yourself,
Now, are the priests not allowed to diddle boys for those 40 days, or is that's not part of the deal, right?
They don't consider that a vice, so that continues. Yeah.
Okay.
Why would you give that up? It's just something.
It's good for everybody.
It's like breathing
the kids
air.
are learning. Yeah. Okay. Here, Chris Denman's writing something. Actually intensifies. Okay.
What's that?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't know what Chris Denman is saying sometimes. Should we have him on again? I feel like we should have Denman on again.
Chris is great.
He's great. I feel like he needs...
We thought maybe he'd cover a topic or something.
Yeah, maybe we should do that.
Yeah.
He also wrote a couple
Okay,
stories
Chris,
for us
next
today.
week, Tiki Torches. What's
Next week,
happened to
Tiki Torches. What's going on?
What's happened to that industry since you guys sort of abandoned it?
The January 6th segment. That's good with Denman.
Yeah.
All right, let's get to Drew Barrymore. She returned, but her head writers did not.
I know.
After she found herself in hot water last month, she announced that her daytime talk show would make its 4th season debut without its striking writers. A week later, after facing backlash, she revealed she'd be reversing course and pausing until the strike was over. But now that it's over, Chelsea White, Christina Cannon, and Liz Coe, I think I know Liz Coe, have declined an offer to return with it, according to the sources. So they're saying, well, you know what? You fucked the strike by saying you were going to cave. You created fractures in the because then Bill Maher and everybody else thought it was okay, and so fuck you, Drew Barrymore. Die. That's not me saying that. I think that's what they're saying.
Yeah, you wouldn't say that.
No.
Yeah, I don't know what to even think about this. I mean, she's just so... I think a lot of people, you know what she is? She is the white... who was the... Chris will know. Who was the woman disaster talk show host? Obviously, not white. Black. I say obviously because I'm saying Drew's the white version of this. Wendy Williams. I think Drew is the white Wendy Williams, where half of the draw to watch is... will this person break down and cry today on the show?
Yeah.
And it's about a 50-50 proposition.
Oh, did she cry a lot?
Oh, my God. That's all she gets so emotional and cries, and I think she's just as crazy as Wendy Williams. Now, I hate saying that because Wendy Williams then had to give up her show, so I hope Wendy Williams is okay, and I don't mean to call her seriously crazy. I'm using that term loosely, and I probably shouldn't. But they're both unhinged. Is that better? They're both unhinged and not really that grounded emotionally. I think all of that is very fair to say.
That's disturbing because I have a meeting for that writing job next week, and I
would lean away from sad stuff because she's going to cry. She'd probably, like most hosts who read your stuff, they're going to cry anyway.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, so you don't have to lean into it.
Okay. All right, do we want to do Bruno Mars?
Well, you had to cancel his Mideast show between Israel and because Hamas and Israel
not getting along.
Apparently, they will not take a timeout to go enjoy a Bruno Mars concert.
Oh, well.
Yeah.
So it says Live Nation. So Israel is canceling the concert. It just goes to show you they do control show business, even over there.
Well, Bruno sings about heaven, right? That must be, I don't think they're all in on the heaven concept.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you what's heavenly is Prize Picks. It's the largest independently owned daily fantasy sports platform in North America. It's really fun. It's really exciting way to play DFS. It's not just you against the numbers. Instead of battling thousands of other players, including pros and sharks, you pick more than, or less than on 2 to 6 player stat projections and watch the winnings roll in.
Oh, you make your entries on Prize Picks. It's the way to do daily fantasy. It's great.
Yeah, you can play. You can turn $10 into $250 with a few taps. They have this. They have this like 25 times my thing. They do. What do they call it? You basically get 25 times your money.
No, they load it. Yeah, they load it. But listen, this is what I actually like about it. Is it's really simple to play. I can make my picks and submit my entry in less than 60 seconds. That's what I need. Wait, yeah. It's.
So you can pick stuff.
I'm not good at other things. This one made it easy for me.
You pick stuff like, how many yards Odell Beckham will run. Will it be more or less than this? Obviously, nobody's betting on Aaron Rodgers at this point. I think you always want to take the less with Aaron Rodgers.
It's not going well for him either.
No.
Even just not physically. And then Prize Picks offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up to 25%, so you get even more value.
So you can stay in it. You know, it's not like in a pool where you get knocked out and then you spend the rest of the season watching from the sidelines. You get, for NFL games and CFB top 25 matchups, if you have a player who exits the game in the first half and does not return in the second, that player is rebooted. Prize Picks is the only daily fantasy sports platform with injury insurance. So I did it, and I did it for 3 weeks, and I'm up at this point, and I am not a sports. I don't know. People might have picked up on this. I'm not real good at sports stuff, but this one is just fun, and you can win big. So, go to prizepicks.com/papers and use code PAPERS for a first deposit match up to $100. Wow. Go to prizepicks.com/papers, use code PAPERS for a first deposit match up to $100. And daily fantasy sports made easy. Prize Picks.
I'm going with Josh Allen for more than 2 passing touchdowns.
I like it.
Yep, that is solid.
I'm going to be going to the Pats game on Sunday. I'm here in New England, and they're playing New Orleans.
Wow.
So England against Orleans on Sunday, and I hope I have fun. Sometimes I don't enjoy being at a game live as much as I do being on my couch with my food, watching replays. You know,
but you're going to be in inclement weather with some of the angriest sports fans on the planet. It'll be nice. It'll be a nice Sunday.
Nice.
And boy, they must be so thrilled with how things are going for their team. So.
Yep. All right, let's make America Florida.
You got it. Okay, I picked this story because I saw the picture of the dude. I'm like, I know I've seen that guy. So Florida man, 77, planned to sell misbranded erectile dysfunction drugs to retirement community. Reginald Odell Kinser of the Villages, an age-restricted community, could face time behind bars after federal prosecutors say he obtained over $1,800 in erectile dysfunction drugs without a prescription. He had a prior drug-related run-ins, and I'm like, yes. So how do I know this? Because he was arrested in 2020 for multiple drugs, including psilocybin, marijuana, and MDMA. This is in the retirement, in the most famous.
This is a fucking great retirement home.
The Villages. He was given 3 years probation after being found guilty. So it turns out I saw this guy in the documentary called Some Kind of Heaven.
No way.
Which is about the Villages, and he's there with his wife and the judge, and everyone that comes around him is like, lady, you gotta fucking keep this guy indoors. Like, he's losing it. Like, he's crazy. And then he would say things to the judge, and the judge would reprimand him. This is in the documentary. The judge would be like, sir, you are not to say another word. I am giving you a break here, and you're about to ruin it. I'm about to change my mind. And the wife's like, just listen to him. Just listen to the judge. He's not going to put you, And anyway, this guy is a lunatic.
Wow. Yeah, and meanwhile, the wife doesn't want him getting thrown in jail because he's got the boner pills. He's bringing it home. He's,
the whole place, all the guys are like showing up as like character witnesses.
Yeah,
no, Your Honor, Your Honor, please.
Right. Yeah,
let him stay out another week.
They're not coming out of retirement. They're coming in retirement.
Yeah. It's a very cool documentary, by the way.
I want to see this. So is it a documentary about like the dark side of, not dark side, but the fun side of these communities?
It's both. No, because they cover this guy too. So wait, and it's also, is it, who did it? Is it, hold on. Who directed it?
We have Denman for that, right?
No, Lance Oppenheim. Okay, no, I thought it was maybe one of the big directors.
Oh.
But anyway, I had always heard about it, and it's really well shot. Very like Wes Anderson framing. Like very cute. It's like, sort of, I don't know, like dioramas. You know what I mean? Like, it's like, it's really like he treated each it's a composition, the way he frames it.
Well, I think it makes the original Village people look kind of tame. You know, these are the real village people. Psilocybin, boner pills.
Yeah, there was a thing that they mentioned in it about there was huge rumors about the villages that the STD rate was through the roof.
Yeah.
But they defended themselves. But the defense was pretty funny that they're like, it turns out actually per capita we're lower actually than the rest of Florida. I'm like, if you have to compare yourself to Florida STD rates, you are already way high.
Right. My mom's building, she lives in Florida, and it's not, I guess it's like the villages. It's not, it's not assisted living. It's just old people.
Everything that moves there doesn't mean
hey
it's like the villages.
Hey now. But they're all on pot. They all have because I think in Florida it's still medicinal. I don't think it's legal yet, which is crazy because I think they smoke
Tennessee,
pot
same thing.
Yeah. So, but she says everybody is just on weed all the time down there.
Wait, I think Texas, believe it or not, and they're all like, "What is happening?" Like Austin can't believe it. I think Texas might also be restricted
for weed.
Yeah.
I think.
Texas is not legal yet. Says Chris knows.
No, none of the Deep South, Florida, Texas, Louisiana, Mississippi, none of them are. And here's my theory on that: is that drugs, pot makes you kind of lazy, little bit dumb, paranoid, and I think those states are just like, nah, we're good.
They're already there.
I think we're already there. I think we're already baked.
I don't know though. I think if more people were stoned in Florida, they'd be warming up the motorcycle and they'd be like, yeah, I should wear a helmet. I think it would feel cozy, and I'd feel a little safer.
Yeah, and I'd embrace my fellow man, no matter what his skin color or sexual orientation. I think he was beautiful.
Hide my eyes a little bit. Maybe the cop wouldn't realize I'm totally baked out of my head.
Yeah.
What about make Australia? Florida.
Yep.
An elderly man in Australia has died after being bitten by a snake as he tried to uncoil it from his friend's leg. The tragic incident happened on Saturday when two men were attending the state school 100-year celebrations in Queensland. When the 69-year-old spotted a snake curled around his friend's ankle, he tried to remove it but was bitten by the reptile multiple times. After being bitten several times on the chest and arm, he went into cardiac arrest. Despite several attempts by paramedics and other attendees to revive him, he died at the scene. Okay, let me tell you something, Greg. You have a snake. We're both 70. You have a snake around your leg. First of all, I'd wish you so much luck. But let's say you really panicked and you begged me to take it off you. I would. After the first bite, I'm out.
Yeah. Right.
I mean, what?
No, it reminds me of that old that joke about the Lone Ranger and Tonto. Yeah. And you know this joke, right?
I love it.
So Tonto gets, or the Lone Ranger gets bitten on his cock by a snake, and it starts to swell. And he says, "Tonto, quick, go to town, talk to the doctor, save me." So Tonto gets on his horse. He rides into town. He finds the doctor. He says, "Doctor, Kimosabi bit on penis by snake is swelling. What do I do?" And so the doctor says, "Well, you have to suck out all the venom and spit it out, tie it with a tourniquet, and he should be okay." And so Tonto gets on his horse. He rides back out, and the Lone Ranger says, "Tonto, what did the doctor say?" And he said, "Doctor say you're going to die, Kimosabi."
Yep. It's so good.
I've only seen, this is going to sound crazy. In the wild, I have seen one snake in my entire life, and it was at Yosemite, and I saw a rattlesnake, and he had the tail of a squirrel coming out of its mouth.
What?
It had literally just eaten the squirrel, and he was underneath the tree.
On the floor of Yosemite or like up on a trail?
No, like in a field near the tents, not far from the tents. There was a field with some trees.
Jeez.
And it was underneath a tree, and and it just kind of slithered away with the tail coming out of its mouth.
How many people saw it?
Probably a dozen.
Probably 3,000. 1,500 Asian tourists with cameras just.
Well, yeah, because now you're not afraid of the snake. He can't bite you. He's got a fucking tail coming out of his mouth.
Yeah, go up and fuck with it.
All right.
I've seen so many snakes, but rattlesnakes are the coolest in the world. It's like, warning, I'm over here. It's like, thank you. Why don't you tell all your fucking sneaky friends to get a rattle?
Wait, what snakes have you seen?
Oh my God. I mean, tons. I mean, we had rattlesnakes where I went to high school. They were the, what are they called? The Appalachian or something rattlesnake, which they have a rattle, but it doesn't make noise. So that sucked.
Yeah.
I'm forgetting their name. It's not Appalachian. There's a name for the northeastern rattlesnake. Anyway, in Florida at my grandmother's house, which was in like Coral Gables and all around Tampa, she had a bunch of different houses. She would move, and water moccasins were fucking everywhere.
Those are deadly, right?
Oh, totally. No, also I'd go out to like mow the lawn, and when I'd move, I'd push the mower, big snake just coiled up under it. There'd be snakes under the car, but also I see snakes when I hike. I've seen snakes, a rattlesnake in LA hiking. Olivia was over at a friend's house in Topanga, and I pick her up. She's like, we ate rattlesnake today. I'm like, what? So the dog would find, not by design, the dog would start freaking out, barking, and you'd hear the rattle. And the dad killed one of them and grilled
How'd the dad kill it?
with a shotgun.
Really?
Yeah, this is right in Topanga. Topanga's pretty wild.
Damn.
But Jeff and I also in the Grand Canyon, we went out looking for a rattlesnake once. We were rafting the river, and then we'd camp on the banks. It was organized, but we decided, the two idiots, to go, and boy, we found one.
You did.
Yeah. But again, like you just, if you make noise as you're going up. By the way, I just played Rustic this week, 2 days ago with Dennis. Anyway, when you go looking for a golf ball, you make sure you make noise. There's rattlesnakes at Rustic.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
So you clap, anything. Usually they can feel your foot. I want to say footprints, but your steps. They could feel your steps from pretty far away.
Holy shit, that's crazy.
Yeah. That's right. A timber rattlesnake. That's what it is. That's what they were on our campus. We weren't allowed to go hiking when it was breeding season, I think. And I think another window in the spring when they gave birth to the little bastards.
Wow.
And also, by the way, the babies are the most poisonous.
Yes, because they can't control the amount of venom they shoot out. Let's do some sports.
Like us when we were teens. Yeah, sports.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm really way behind on the Olympics. Breakdancing is going to be an Olympic sport. The sport, which will officially go by the name breaking, like breaking my will to watch the Olympics, it's going to make its debut at the 2024 Summer Games in Paris. It's part of an International Olympic Committee's efforts in recent years to attract younger viewers with globally popular subculture-based events like skateboarding, BMX, rock climbing, smash and grabbing, stores,
spray painting,
all of which made their first official appearances, those other ones, at the last Summer Games in Tokyo. So in breaking competitions, pairs of dancers face off in battles. This sounds terrible. And they're going to be adapting their moves in response to music selected, mixed, and scratched by a DJ. One dancer will have a performance, and then the other one will try to outdo them in some way. Viewers will see dancers facing off against each other, doing rounds against each other. Whatever. I can't even read the rest of the story. This sounds horrible.
It sounds horrible, and it's an American thing. It's one of those things you see other people do, like when you see like Germans try to do rock, and you just go like, cute. Like, is this a karaoke? This is awful, and the breakdancing.
You're forgetting about Scorpions.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
And you're forgetting about Metallica, right?
Rammstein, as Chris just wrote.
Yeah. Wasn't the guy from Metallica from Germany? Oh, no. Where was he from? the guitar player for Metallica.
Lars, right?
Lars.
I don't know.
But when I was a breakdancer. I'm not gonna lie to you. I'll tell
good Lord.
full disclosure. I did gymnastics.
I did not need to know that.
I did gymnastics from when I was about 6 to 12, but I did it a lot, and I was pretty good. Lars is from Denmark, and so I used to go to nightclubs. I'd go to like the Valhalla Inn, which was next to Tarrytown, and they would play The Art of Noise or what were the other songs we used to dance to? And I'd spin around on my back and I would do pops and and I would do back flips and I would do the worm and all that shit. And let me tell you something, I got laid. Breakdancing got me laid. And then I went to Ireland and I was traveling around Ireland with my buddy. And I would break dance in these. They would have discotheques. Every town in Ireland has they called it a discotheque back in the 80s. Yeah. And they would play this music. And all of a sudden, here's this kid who's from New York. They didn't know it wasn't the Bronx. They didn't know it was Tarrytown. But I'm from New York, and I'm break dancing.
They didn't know you were traveling around Europe with a piece of cardboard or linoleum flooring.
And I would get laid in Ireland. And so I'm all for it. I'm behind this 1,000%.
And here are my two little friends, these black guys who play drums on industrial paint cans.
Say hello to my little friends.
You want to look up something almost as disturbing as that story. One of the first times Vin Diesel was ever on videotape was he was a breakdancer. You can look that up on YouTube. Have fun with it.
I believe Tupac was also a breakdancer.
Yeah. He then had a giant career in hip hop. He gets a little bit of a pass. Vin Diesel? No.
Yeah.
All right. Philadelphia. A Phillies fan was denied entrance to watch Philadelphia host Pittsburgh when he tried to enter with his emotional support animal. What was that? Oh, an alligator named Wally Gator. Social media posts showed the gator on a leash with a harness with his name on it outside the stadium Wednesday. Wally Gator is a working emotional support alligator owned by Joey? Is that Joey? Joie. Joey Henney of Jonestown. Oh, Jesus. The reptile has a big presence on Instagram and TikTok. So Henney spoke to Philadelphia Inquirer last year and said that Wally Gator helps him battle depression and that he likes to give hugs, which everyone in Philadelphia needs. Everyone in Philly is battling depression, and all of them need hugs. Henney said that the gator had never bitten anyone. So Citizen Bank Park's policy on support animals is posted on the Phillies official website. It states, guide dogs, service animals, or service animals in training are welcome. All other animals are prohibited. That's not exactly accurate, as about 52,000 animals go in there every fucking game. I don't know, but they showed it. Imagine emotional support alligator.
Well, maybe for some people, the depression is so bad that being scared to death is the only thing that makes them feel alive. I can see that.
Yeah.
It kind of snaps you out of your depression a little bit.
Get in bed, do a little death roll, get you in the mood to sleep.
Right.
And then I saw this story, which is not sports, but 9 alligators were rescued from a Pennsylvania home after a neighbor found one on his porch. We don't really have to do this whole story, but there was a neighbor who had 10 alligators, and then all of a sudden, a guy had to call the guy. The neighbors all knew each other, and he's like, dude, do not go out your front door. There's an alligator on your porch.
Wait, so can alligators be tamed? Can they get to the point where they're not going to attack you if you feed them regularly?
I think it's one of the classic examples, kind of like a bear, but I guess bears are, even more trainable. But, like, at any point, instinct can kick in.
Right. I mean, look at pit bulls. I know people, no, pit bulls are great. No, I'm just telling you,
Greg,
I read stories
about them. We're going to get so many
them.
letters. Don't do it. Don't
Oh,
poke
my
the pit
God.
bull on me.
It's like at a certain point, you got to go like, look, if only 0.1% of pit bulls kill babies. That's too many.
Yeah. Well, meanwhile, Biden's German Shepherd can't stop biting Secret Service.
Is that true?
Yeah, it's been kicked out. Biden's German Shepherd is no longer in the White House.
Oh.
They're trying to figure out what to do with it.
When are they going to tell Joe?
Huh?
When are they going to tell Joe? He's been petting a rug for the last half an hour.
Just whistling down the hallway, clapping, bent over like almost, and it's like, almost like for a cat.
Yeah.
He thinks
all right.
Half the time he thinks it's a cat.
Let's cut down to this day in history.
You got it, pal. Here we go.
On October 28th, 2009, 2 people die and more than a dozen are hospitalized following a botched sweat lodge ceremony at a retreat run by motivational speaker and author James Arthur Ray.
I remember this.
Near Sedona. A third participant died 9 days later. It was part of a spiritual warrior event held at a rented retreat center. People paid $9,000. And this guy, Ray, who was raised in Oklahoma, was known for books such as Harmonic Wealth, The Secret to Attracting the Life You Want, had appeared on Oprah. His sweat lodge ceremony, modeled after a Native American custom intended to purify the body and spirit, was held in a wood frame structure covered with tarpaulins and blankets. Inside the enclosed space, water was poured over heated rocks to create steam, and the temperature became dangerously high, causing many of the more than 50 participants who had been encouraged to fast for 36 hours prior to the event.
Yeah.
Rich people are fucking crazy. Do you know that? You just tell them that you'll put them in pain and make them uncomfortable, and it costs a lot of money, and they're in. So people were trying to leave. They were disoriented. He encouraged them to stay inside, to face their personal challenges. People died from heat stroke, and a bunch were hospitalized for dehydration. So he was indicted on manslaughter charges.
Oh, my God.
When his case went to trial, though, the prosecution argued that the self-help guru had acted carelessly and shown no regard for the people who got sick. The defense claimed the participants were free to leave the sweat lodge at any time and said the deaths were an accident and might have been caused by unknown toxins in the ground.
What?
There was a 4-month trial, and so they said that other people at previous ones had also gotten sick from this. So he was sentenced to 3 2-year prison terms and had to pay $57,000 in restitution. That seems light.
Well, read the next line.
He was released on supervision on July 12, 2013. So he served
2 years.
He served 2 years.
Yep, maybe even less. He was found guilty in June. Yeah. So,
Isn't it amazing, though, that there's always an appetite for this kind of stuff of, like, people that will tell you there's been thousands of years of therapy, philosophy, self-help, religion, spirituality, and we've figured some stuff out. But there's always going to be the guy that just had a book come out on Oprah that's now really figured it out. And you're going to pay $9,000 and go into uncertain conditions because you believe in this one person so much that you'll put yourself in bodily harm because you think it's going to bring you to a better place.
Too bad he didn't have a guru like, no, stay in prison. Take it as a personal challenge. I know you're being torn up and you're raped constantly, but stay there. You've only been in 2 years. Stay. You got 4 more.
Push back when he's fucking you. Push back into it.
Look within yourself. You'll find that strength. Just stay there. Pay your dues.
Look him in the eye when you're blowing him. Look him right in the eyes. All right, let's get to an obituary.
A sweat cell. Obituary.
And that's all, folks.
All right.
This is you.
Oh, all right. Yeah, I put it in there, but yeah, you're usually obituary guy. Sure, Dick Butkus, man. Fearsome Hall of Fame linebacker. Died at 80. Dick Butkus, the Chicago Bears' famously hard-hitting Hall of Fame middle linebacker of the 1960s and 70s, and a selection for the NFL's 100th anniversary all-time team. Died on Thursday in his home in Malibu, California. He was 80. At 6 feet 3 inches and 245 pounds, which is a good size for his era, Butkus stuffed running plays up the middle. He also was speedy and mobile enough to drop back and foil opponents' pass plays. He was cited. All right, so they go on about his stats. And then sacks didn't become an official statistic. I didn't know this till 1982. So the number of times that Butkus smothered the opposing quarterbacks remains unrecorded. But he was considered to have intercepted 20 blah, 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 blah. Get this, though. I thought this was interesting. It's a quote by him. When I went out on the field to warm up, I would manufacture things to make me mad. Butkus was quoted as saying by the Hall of Fame, if someone on the other team was laughing, I'd pretend he was laughing at me or the Bears, and it always worked.
Interesting.
But it reminds me, the more documentaries you see on these super stars and these super driven athletes, like remember the Last Dance about Michael Jordan and the Bulls. He did that. He'd create beefs. He'd create these heated things that sometimes weren't there just so he could turn it up.
Well, look at Kyrgios when he plays tennis, He literally yells at his own box. He yells at the line judges. He yells at the other players. And none of it's ever real, but I guess it's what gets him going. But meanwhile, if he's imagining the other team is laughing at him, his name is Dick Butkus. It's entirely possible they were laughing at him.
It's the greatest football name, though.
It is. I know.
It can't possibly have more hard consonants.
Yeah.
It's like that's why comedians, I think, love the name so much. Dick Butkus. Are you kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah.
The Bears.
All right, let's cheer up a little bit after that one.
Yeah, okay.
Let's get to the funnies.
Although Butkus deserves more than that. He was fearsome.
Yeah, he was a character too. Big personality. So Hager is with his son. You don't see Hager and his son together very much.
I never saw that.
No.
He kept one?
It's very odd. I mean, maybe he's not his son because he literally never, it's always him and Helga home alone. Maybe there's a camp for kids or something. So the kid says to Hager, they're sitting on a park bench, which I guess they had in the medieval days. He goes, do you believe in peace? And Hager goes, absolutely. He goes, I always ask my enemies to surrender peacefully. And when he says enemies, we're talking about rape here.
Yeah.
All right, second one. Hager has a sack full of loot over his shoulder, and there's a maiden in distress, and she's in the castle, so you just know what's about to happen. And she goes, you promised you would raid the castle without cruelty. And then in the second frame, you see that his warriors are making fun of the king's suit jacket and laughing. And he goes, knock it off, Olsen. And I think, if I'm her, I'd let it rest.
I don't get that one.
Well, the cruelty is that they're making fun of the king's wardrobe, not that they're raping her.
Oh, not that they're raping her. Yeah, that's like the up above. I always ask them to just consent.
Yeah, right.
It's like, do you believe in sex without raping, Daddy? Absolutely. I always ask them to consent.
All right, this Far Side is
consent.
one of my favorites I've ever seen. I never saw this one before.
Okay, so get this. I didn't know I found this article about Far Sides where he would be in the world. His sandbox was other comics, where he was aware of other comics, and there's like 6 that he did about the Peanuts. And I had no idea, so I found this one. This one, there's just no caption or anything. It's a fight. It's like, a World War I like fighter, a jet fighter, and he's standing in front of his airplane. And the airplane, like they used to put down and designate how many other planes, enemy planes, they shot down. And so they'd have drawings of them. And so you see the icon of 1, 2, 3, there's 4 planes. And then the 5th icon is Snoopy flying on his doghouse.
With the scarf waving behind him, the World War I flying ace. Was it World War I or World War II?
I'm imagining it has to be 1.
Okay.
Is it 2? I don't know.
World War I was 1918. I guess there were rudimentary planes back then, right?
Well, let me look up the Red Baron. Wasn't he the most famous?
Yeah, I think you're right. I think, imagine just, I mean, obviously there's films about it, but imagine they should do a modern film where they depict World War I flying aces. That would be badass. The Red Baron. Oh, yeah, it was based on the Red Baron.
Yeah, they're all World War I. But that's a big, when that was in the paper, 4 inches away from the peanut strip, and this guy who's very carefully walking away, what does he have in his hand?
The paintbrush.
He just painted on there, cool as a cucumber, he just killed Snoopy.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So great. I love it.
Yeah.
I also love...
There was another one. I'll put it in next week. There's another one that's even darker that he puts in, and I'll do that one next week. Nice.
There's also a woman named Blondie who's standing at the... I'm just going to do the second one.
Okay.
So Blondie's in bed reading a magazine. They always give her a magazine and him a book, like somehow he's the fucking intellect in the couple. So she's reading a magazine. He's got donut pajamas on. And she goes, I know how you loathe relationship surveys, so I took one for us. And he goes, oh, no, those things are trouble. And then she goes, not always. Here's the assessment. Your husband is amazing. He loves you and appreciates you, especially when you make your perfect pot roast. And he goes, whoa, I think I'm starting to like these surveys. And then she goes, there may be a pot roast in your future. And then they do a big kiss. And it's like, all right, so this woman who's wearing a fucking pink sleeve. No, one sleeve is on, one is off on the negligee. The hair is done for bed. He has full access to her. And it requires a pot roast to get him interested. And that makes her so happy that she gives him a kiss. I mean... what kind of marriage is this, Mike?
I'm saying I think pot roast is code for her honey pot. For her honey pot. I
see. Yeah, and she sees him in his future. She's presenting.
And he doesn't get it. And as soon as he finds out it's her crazy delicious pussy, he's going to be like, wait, what? What a bait and switch.
What?
This is terrible.
Wait, so when you said gravy, you meant like... your sauces, your dipping sauce, your vaginal secretions?
It's not a slaughtered animal that's in the oven.
Oh, and your tits are mashed potatoes? That's no good.
Oh, I see what you did now, but it's just, no, you can't do that. You can't get my hopes up like that and then dash them.
I'll leave you, Blondie. I swear to God. That's my fantasy. That's the 4th frame. He fucking leaves her.
Pot roasting
good
quotes.
Riddance.
What a daffy bitch. I'm out of here.
Speaking of daffy bitches, we want to thank Chris Denman for his help today with the podcast. He was the best. I'm sorry if my energy was low today. I'm so fucking worn out and jet lagged. But
we tried, though.
We tried.
Listen to me. Something's cooking inside of me. I don't know what it is, but I'm going out on the town and spreading COVID everywhere.
I may have COVID now. I'm gonna go to CVS right now and get a test. Everybody.
Wait, hold on. Wait, tell me what's in your future. What's tonight?
All right, so tonight I'm getting picked up by Steve Bjork, an old comedy buddy of mine. He's going to take me to Nashua to do another show. Then I'll sleep here in Manchester. In the morning, I'll go to the stadium, Gillette Stadium, and watch the Patriots game. And then that night, there's actually a comedy club in the area of Gillette Stadium. It's like there's like a little mall that's part of the stadium, and I'm doing a show there. Oh, no, it's a big
mall. The stadium is a mall.
Oh, no, it's not inside the mall. It's just across the street. There's a thing called I think it's called Patriots Park or something.
All right.
And I'm doing a show there, and then I will go back into the city, into Boston, meet up with my billionaire friend, and John Tobin, who owns the Laugh Boston. And then I'll get on a flight at 7 a.m. the next day, sleep hopefully the whole time, and be back in L.A. on Monday.
Okay, so here's my question. You're going to CVS now. You test it, and there's 2 strips, and it's confirmed you have COVID. What happens?
I have to rent a hotel room in Manchester for 3 days and isolate.
And everything's canceled.
Yeah. I have to cancel everything.
Even though it's not the right reaction, I think a lot of listeners are like, don't go by the test.
Just ignore it.
Well, you don't know what you're ignoring, I guess, but yeah.
No, I couldn't do that. I wouldn't want to spread it to people, you know.
No, that's a great response. That is the appropriate thing. I just wanted to hear your thinking on it.
Yeah. By the way, I'm playing at a place called the Comedy Scene at Patriot Place in case people want to come down tonight to the show.
Well, when do you update people that you're not going?
I will put it out on social media in 1 hour.
All right. I'm interested. I want to see this.
Yeah. Okay. What do you got planned? What's your weekend?
I think I was telling the truth. I'm watching Game Time. I think I might go down and see the play tonight at basically LA's version of Lincoln Center, which is the Amundsen Theater in that area. And then Stop Making Sense tomorrow night with Livy Bivy and maybe your kids.
Yeah. I'm going to hit them up and tell them to reach out to you. They're both so busy all the time. It's fucking annoying. I never see my kids.
Why am I going to bring COVID kids to this movie?
Good
that
point.
That does not make sense.
Well, Erin has stayed in the bedroom since she got it. She's quarantined in the bedroom, so they haven't been around her.
All right, if they're still feeling good.
Yeah.
All right, sounds good, man. Well, listen, I wish you luck on the COVID test. I hope you don't have it.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I feel pretty good. I don't think I have it.
Good, I love it.
All right. Thank you, guys.
I think people should take it easy.
Take it easy.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
That rustle of the paper means it's time for the show. A coffee and an Adderall, come on, let's go. Sunday Papers Podcast with Greg and